Welcome to this edition of Our Workplace. My name is Zohreh Tabatabai, and today I have the pleasure of discussing with the Minister of Jordan issues of concern to his country and the larger region. Mr. Minister, welcome to this edition of Our Workplace. His Majesty King Abdullah initiated in 2005 an agenda, a national agenda, vision for reduction of poverty. How successful has this been?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's my great pleasure to be here with you this afternoon on such a sunny afternoon. You know, as His Majesty, he's really, he worked very hard on this national agenda, which one of the main issues in it is poverty, alleviation of poverty and unemployment. In Jordan, we have a high percentage of unemployment, something like 14%, 14.2%. And over the last 5 years, this figure has remained to be stagnant. Right. Despite the fact we've had a growth of something like 6.5% over the last 5 years. So really his main concern now is how we're going to get more people on board, how we're going to get more people employed. His Majesty has been working extremely hard on getting foreign investment in Jordan. Right. And he has succeeded to a greater extent. Now we have, in the next 5 years, we'll have something like $50 billion worth of investments in the construction field. This needs a lot of people to work in. So if we take construction, for example, as 20% of its value as wages and salaries, we have $10 billion to be spent on wages. And we hope that figure will go to Jordanians. So to do that, what should we do? We have a problem of training. We have a problem of decent work. Upon the instructions of His Majesty, we have signed with the ILO last August. His Excellency the Prime Minister went all the way to Seoul to show the commitment of the country. We're working with the ILO on the decent work. We're working with the EU in employment, getting you have to have the right people in the right job.
So it's training.
It's training. It's getting the decent work and getting the training together. We don't want to mess up this big investments that we're having because of shortage of workers, and at the same time we have, to balance things out where decent work is there. Trained people are there, because there you're talking about competitiveness, you're talking about people that can do job at good productivity.
But you pointed this out, and in fact I've read a lot about it, that 20% of your workforce is in fact migrants. You add that to the number of refugees in Jordan. How are you going to ensure that it's in fact Jordanians who get the new jobs that you're creating? And is that a problem, or is that an issue?
Well,
even?
That's a problem. Throughout the history of Jordan, Jordan has been extremely friendly with all its neighbors, fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, we're living in a very stable country with the good ruling of His Majesty, the late King Hussein, and now King Abdullah. The country is living in a very safe, stable situation now, surrounded by a lot of problems that are taking place in Iraq, in Lebanon, the West Bank, and we have waves of people coming over that we do respect and appreciate our Arab unity with all the Arabs, so it has become a home for a lot of people. Now, migrant workers are coming for a different reason, because the private sector are saying Jordanians don't accept such jobs. We as a government are saying, well, we have to create the right, decent working conditions. Healthcare, social security, you have to give the worker all these for him to accept. So we're pushing the private sector to do all that, and we're training the worker to do that as well. There are a lot of programs that we're working with international bodies to really run and manage these programs to get Jordanians more on board.
There was an issue in Jordan of certain work zones there was a criticism of workers' rights in that. Is that an issue that in fact was real? And are you addressing that issue?
Yes, I mean, I just gave a lecture or some interview with the Solidarity Center about this. We do have special economic zones in Jordan that are basically in the garment industry. And they're doing a lot of exports to the States according to the FTA agreement that Jordan has signed with the United States. There are some problems. There was a report that came from the NLC last May 2006, and it was pretty bad when we first read it. I remember my staff, they looked at it extremely in a very shocking manner. When I went in with a staff meeting, I said, well, you may consider it a crisis, I consider it as an opportunity, and let's make the best out of it. And the following day we went and inspected exactly what this report says, to find out that there's a lot of truth in it. And again, a couple of weeks later, we started issuing fines and penalties for those that were not doing, they were abusing the workers. I asked for an international body, an independent assessor, to assess the situation. And we assessed the situation, and we started working jointly. The ILO were of great help to us to do some action plan in rectifying things.
Looking beyond Jordan, you are, as we said, in a sea of crisis and insecurity. In terms of a leadership role, what is Jordan doing other than receiving all these refugees in a very generous way? What are you doing to assist in bringing peace, security in this region?
Our government, headed by His Majesty, has been extremely active in trying to help and support whatever initiative, in fact, if it was a peace initiative with Israel or getting the parties on the right track in Iraq, West Bank, or in Lebanon.
Do you believe that Jordan can go it alone and be the island of security, peace, good governance, competitiveness, with all that's going around in the region?
Well, we are now, but I believe that the more peaceful situation that will be around us, Jordan will be a better place. We don't see any situation in our neighboring area as a competition to us. On the contrary, I think the more of stable countries around us, the more Jordan will flourish and be more of a better place in terms of business. So really we look forward and pray to God that things will be better in Iraq, in Lebanon, and the West Bank, because I think the situation will be even better in Jordan. We thank God again for what we have in Jordan. We have a good leadership that has enabled us to live peacefully with good schooling, good education, good health care. We have our problems, but I think we're a small country and very ambitious.
Mr. Minister, are there many more like you? You seem so articulate, so energized, so willing to call a spade a spade. Are there many more like you in your region?
Well, in Jordan, we're a small country, 6 million people, but I believe there are 6 million people like me.
Congratulations. Thank you for being on board.
Thank you.
Thank you.